I'm Gavin D. Becker. You can obviously learn more about me from Wikipedia or any other online source, but I want to give you a very quick introduction. I advise governments and at-risk individuals on anti-assassination strategies. I'm a 3-time presidential appointee. I served 2 terms on the President's Advisory Board at Department of Justice. I designed mosaic systems, threat assessment systems that are used to screen threats to justices of the Supreme Court and members of Congress. I developed threat assessment systems used by the U.S. Marshals Service and by state police agencies protecting governors in 12 states. My best-selling books on preventing violence are now published in 21 languages. You get the idea. My company provides protection services for many at-risk public figures, including for my dear friend and now presidential candidate, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. It's odd that we're protecting him because since 1968, presidential candidates get Secret Service protection. That started immediately after Senator Robert Kennedy, Bobby's father, was assassinated at a campaign event. Immediately, Secret Service began protecting candidates, and by Election Day that year, 12 candidates were getting protection. But the Biden administration has refused to afford Secret Service protection to Bobby Kennedy Jr. Now, an important note here, the Secret Service itself has been helpful and professional, and I have no complaint with them. They stand ready to provide the protection, but the Biden administration says no. Now, what's happened during the long months that the administration has failed to protect this candidate is super alarming, and I'm going to share just a couple of incidents that have already been public. A few weeks ago, a mentally ill intruder entered Bobby's home demanding to see the candidate, and he was arrested. It wasn't the first time that same man had been arrested for Kennedy-related intrusions. More significantly, last week, a man showed up outside a campaign event where Bobby was going to speak. And protectors from my company were observing him, and they were ready when the man went to a side entrance, identified himself as federal law enforcement, and ordered our protectors with intensity, "Take me to Kennedy immediately. I have to see him right now." When protectors saw that this man was carrying a handgun, they removed him from the area, isolated him, surrounded him, LAPD was called, and we handed over custody when the police arrived, and the man was arrested. In his backpack, which we screened for explosives, were more handguns, knives, and extra ammunition. A second man who'd driven him to the campaign event was also taken into custody by police. Obviously, the incident is very, very alarming. We now know that he's a strident QAnon follower, and to help us guess what he was planning, we reviewed everything we could find online and began quite an investigation. There's a TikTok video that he posted just weeks ago trying out that special new outfit that he was wearing when he made the approach at Bobby's speech with the handgun and had a fake federal badge. At one point in the video, he calls himself God's gangster. Referring to his readiness, he says, "Shit, I got it all." Now, on this video, he spells out his name super carefully, letter by letter, and he says, "You'll know who you're fucking with." Near the end of the video, he says, "Take care of each other," and then adds his most chilling words, "if I don't make it back." Now, the risk in this incident doesn't take an expert, it's obvious. And despite knowing everything that I've shared with you and knowing much more alarming material that's contained in a detailed 67-page threat assessment the government received, the administration still hasn't responded to the campaign's second formal request for protection. What are they waiting for? So with all that background, I'm reaching out to you today in what is probably the most unusual fundraising request ever in presidential politics. It's because they've refused to provide Secret Service protection that 30 cents of every dollar donated to RFK Jr.'s campaign has to go to security. Normally, none of it would. I would gladly pay for it all myself. He's my dear friend, and I'd like him to win. But it's not allowed. It would be considered a campaign contribution above the limit, and I've already made my campaign contribution. But you can help. You can help to continue the best level of security that we can accomplish for my dear friend through donating to his campaign. It is crazy that we have to ask the public to provide protection, but that's where we are.